Today's show is brought to you by Manscaped, the leaders in below the waistline grooming. Not only are they safe, but they are secure and they are waterproof, which we like. Because when you're talking about working with your below the waistline region and more importantly, your dangly twins, you want to make sure that you're not doing anything to compromise them or their health. So you want to make sure you're using that Lawnmower 4.0, the Crop Reviver, and you can't forget about the Ball Toner as well, man, because you want to make sure you're extra smelly and fresh. Not smelly in a bad way, but smelly in a good way, okay? Just make sure we clarify that up. And you know we got promo codes for you, baby. And with the promo code MAYBE, it is MOATS. Use that, get 20% off along with free shipping worldwide at manscaped.com. So stop wasting time, man, and take care of your short and dangly twins. They will appreciate you, and all of their friends will appreciate you as well.
Come on, yeah. Well, I guess this could be a next thing right here. He says Trubisky was balling. He can only do so much. Hashtag Dimer.
Dimer. All right. Well, to me, man, Mitch was definitely, in the first half especially, man, he was willing and dealing, man. Some of those throws he was making, obviously the Pickens one was crazy, the Deontay was crazy, the Chase Claypool was crazy. I mean, he was having his way at times, man. Some of the ability to evade the rushers and stuff like that, just overall looking like he was in command of this offense, in command of this team, looking like truly the QB1. I just hate the fact that we had those 4 3-and-outs, but like we said, in the second half, that was not exclusively on Mitch. You brought up the drops. That's there. I mean, we still have the people that debate, should it have been a touchdown if Pickens goes up with 2 hands versus going up with 1 hand on the throw that was in the end zone? I haven't had a chance to go back and look at that from an all-22's perspective just yet, but that's still something that was potentially left out there as well, man. But yeah, I definitely thought that this was the play from Mitch that we needed. This was the game, the style of play that we could be like, you know what? At least we know he's capable of it now. He's capable of it because he's done it in stadium. It's no more speculation. But now going forward, that is his new standard. It can't be below that. It has to take that and build upon that. So that's what we'll see. But I definitely liked what I saw from him, though, man, in the sense of how everything played out with him.
Yeah. He got my stamp of approval, got my thumbs up to say, hey, we're going to keep rolling with Mitch. Let's get him against the Jets next week because – man, I think he was in his bag too, especially in that first half like you're talking about. The rollouts, the throw on the runs, the confidence that he was playing with to get us 14 points. Actually should have been 17 points if Boz doesn't miss that field goal. Now, that wasn't really on the offense. That was a short drive for the offense. I think the Browns special teams had a really short punt, so it was a short field for us. But still, should have been 17 points in the first half. And then combine that with the nice drive that we had coming out of halftime and also the drop by Deontay. I think Mitch did enough. It's just one of those things where, maybe we would have liked a little bit more on those last like 2 or 3 drives. But also, I didn't like the decision not to go for it on 4th and 5. We were really backed up on our own end. It was like 5 minutes left. I hated that because it became an either or thing where, all right, if you punt it, it's like, I guess you still have a chance to stop them, but you're giving them the opportunity to run out the clock. Even if they go 3 and out, you're putting yourself up with against the wall because you're going to have to use timeouts.
Seconds tops,
Exactly, because now you're going to have to score before this 2-minute warning, and that didn't happen. We ended up kicking the field goal, 2-minute warning pass, and it just ended up relying on that onside kick.
Yeah, but then on top of that, even before we even got to the onside kick part, it was just like not getting off the field fast enough and allowing the Browns to really eat up a ton of that clock, man, running the ball the way that they were. It's unfortunate, man. This is the second week in a row now where we've seen our defense not be able to come up with those timely stops in obvious running situations. Now, this week, I do think it was very different, right? Because in this week, you had the sense of it wasn't necessarily them switching personnel groupings. Whereas I said last week, man, it was more so them taking that approach of, we're going to roll with the big nickel group, right? We're going to have Cam Hayward at DN, and we're going to have DeMarvin Leal at DN, and we're just going to play like that. And we said, man, at times it was successful last week versus the Patriots, but you could also see how the gap discipline wasn't always there where it needed to be. And you're just taking Cam and those D linemen and putting them in a position where they're not at their primary spot, so they're not going to be as dominant as they typically would be. Well, last night we went back to our regular base packages, regular nickel package personnel groupings, but we started to rotate our left DN So you saw Malik Reed over there. Then it was Delonte Scott over there. And they would kind of flip-flop those guys back and forth. And then even Jameer Jones, I think he had a couple opportunities out there. But it was more so trying to see, can we play our base structure, our regular personnel groupings, but have this DN, this other guy just step up. And at times, you could get away with it. But as a whole, they weren't good enough on that side. And I just thought as a whole, in the front seven of our defense, it wasn't good enough in terms of getting off the blocks. It was times where you look at Nick Chubb and you know he's an awesome running back. You know it's going to be times where he's going to have yards at the contact. And the yards at the contact part, I don't fault that because good running backs, top-notch running backs are going to do that. They're going to fall forward. My issue is when I'm looking at him running through the hole and he's not getting touched until he's at that linebacker level. That's meaning that, man, we're not winning our grass. That's also telling me that even though we're in the right gap, we're not getting off blocks and we're trading 1-for-1. And versus a running back like Nick Chubb and a rushing attack like the Browns have with their offensive line, that's the type of stuff that gets you beat. Because you look at how they're able to have these long drives and why we keep saying why our guys are getting tired, Yes, traditionally, the answer is, offense has to sustain drives. But that was not the issue for the large majority of the game yesterday. That was a end of the third, fourth quarter type of issue. But as a whole, the offense was sustaining drives. The offense was moving the ball. Defensively in the first half, they were giving up long drives. Defensively in the first half, they weren't able to get off the field on third downs. And that is going to make you tired. That is going to hurt you in the long run. But that wasn't on the offense. That wasn't on anybody but this defense. And a part of that is them trying to figure out how to mitigate the loss of TJ Watt. We said, man, he is such a dynamic player, not just as a pass rusher, but as a run defender, that when you're trying to replace him and his productivity and what he brings to the table, you're not just finding that in just one player. And then, we talked about potentially signing a Jason Pierre-Paul. That's not available either to us now because he's in Baltimore.
Of course, the Ravens.
I was like, Baltimore guy.
That is a typical Ravens signing.
Come on, bro. I was like, really? Baltimore? Y'all wouldn't have got him? Like, come on, bro.
Veteran,
you don't even need
big
him right
name,
now, man.
past his prime, but probably could still give you something.
He going to be the Calais Campbell for them, man. We be over here watching him like, how, bro? But yeah. So now, once again, we're sitting here with this question of how do we generate pressure? How do we become more productive and more stout against the run when you don't have a TJ Watt out there? This defense is elite with TJ. When you take him away, though, man, it changes this whole dynamic in a sense, man.
Right. We're good. And I think we saw that yesterday in moments. Like, we're good. We had some really nice stops in the first half and just mitigating their run game. But there's too many holes right now. There's too many leaks in it. Like, actually, the next comment right here, Kyle Monier says, Spoon not looking like a cornerback one, should have re-signed Joe. Yeah, Witherspoon didn't have his best game.
People said you jinxed him, by the way.
Witherspoon?
Yeah, because they said you were the one when I said.
Oh, I did. I said he's locking up Cooper. Yeah, it's not even going to be a question.
Yeah, and as soon as the game started, I'm watching. I'm just like,
we got lucky. Cooper went out of bounds that one time too.
Yes, I'm just like,
holy hell!
I said, how did he run out of bounds? I do not know.
Witherspoon was like 5 yards behind him. Because Witherspoon didn't touch him.
Yes, he just was running, and I'm like, yo, he's really running out of bounds, like 2-3 steps. Yeah, I don't know how that was one of them plays for us where we're just like, thank you, football gods. But yeah, man. But you know how that goes, man. You're gonna have some of them games, especially when you're out there at corner, man, where it's just not going well for you that night. For whatever reason it was. Now, so we know he ended up leaving the game late in the third with the hamstring and stuff like that. So that becomes even more of a significance because now we don't know what his availability looks like for next week. But yeah, man, he had a little rough one with. Amari Cooper's a good receiver though. That's what I was, we was trying to say because and
Jacoby Brissett got him the ball.
Yeah, and their offensive line protected. That was the other part, man. When Jacoby has time the way that he does, he can make some of those throws, man. And you saw him start to have that confidence. It was crazy, like watching both of those quarterbacks in the first half, Mitch and Brissett. I'm like, bro, what is going on? When did these two guys start doing this year? Like, it was nuts, man. But tip your cap to them for that, man. But yeah, man, Amari Cooper was definitely having his way last night at times.
Yeah, combine that with the defense not getting as much pressure as we would have liked. Now it happened in spurts, and the same thing was stopping the run game. It happened in spurts.
You're absolutely right,
but
man.
I think that's the bigger takeaway, in my opinion, from this game. It's not about Mitch as much or like the offense. It was like the defense just didn't hold up.
Yeah.
And I didn't like some of the decision making. Like I said, I think we should have went for it on 4th and 5. But that's you already put yourself in that spot where you have to make that type of decision and combine it with some of the drops. Like I don't think this was a Mitch or Canada problem this game.
Yeah, but it is very refreshing to hear you say that. I know a lot of people in the
because I want Pickett in there, but
but a lot of people when it first ended, that was their mentality, that it was still on Mitch, that was still on Matt Canada, and they just kind of forgot about the drops. They forgot about the offensive line in the second half.
Drops. Huge drops. Deontay had like 2 or 3.
Absolutely. You can make a case even with Chase, the one that hit him. It was like, yo, what was that? It was a couple of those that took place out there, man. But like I said, man, just as a whole, it wasn't consistent enough. The O-line, I thought they played really well in the first half. In the second half, it wasn't as consistent either. And you can't have those type of things, man. But that's a part of this team's growth, though. That's a part of them figuring it out. And that's what we would keep saying, the patience part in those first 4 weeks, man. Them first couple of games, you're trying to figure out your identity. You're trying to figure out who's the guy that you can trust, who's the guy that you can't trust, who are the people that are going to be available to you from a health standpoint. Also, you're getting into legitimate game shape because, as we said, most of these guys hadn't played 4 quarters of football. So this is just their 3rd game now, and it was on a short week. So a lot of that progress that we're seeing, do we want it to be expedited? Do we want it faster? 100% we do. But the chances of that happening at such a fast rate with a team like this is just not realistic just yet. But you can see the growth, and we felt it. And that's the one part that I want to keep hammering home here today. When we talked about how do we gauge Matt Canada and Mitch Trubisky, how do we gauge this offense taking steps in the right direction? Last night, I thought we could point to certain things and see it. It was clear as day. And to me, that's improvement. To me, when we leave out of last night's game, my feeling was we have to get this defense back to where it is playing at a top-notch level for 4 quarters, not in spurts. But at the same time, I don't feel as confident in that because to me, that is largely on personnel because they don't have a TJ Watt over there right now. But offensively, I think that was what we wanted. That was a huge step in the right direction, and now we can keep building upon that. We needed that step last night, though. If we didn't have that step last night, it's a different conversation today. But we got that step. So let's not destroy the first, big positive thing that's happened for this offense by, going with the whole, we need to do this, we need to fire this, we need to switch this just for the sake of doing it, because that was not the issue from my perspective last night.
No, but what's frustrating is we're talking about the offense as a whole taking a step in the right direction. I feel like it's just more Mitch and Canada. Well, and seeing Jaylen Warren play good, Najee played good too.
Your boy still got,
but then we got the negative with the drops.
Man. Oh yeah,
I see. You know what I mean? We got Mitch and Canada, I think, taking that step, but then it's like we're taking a step backwards in other spots with the drops. Now, I thought the offensive line played well as well. It's like, all right, we're just getting a little bit more consistent play, a little bit more improvement from them too. Even though, like you said, it wasn't perfect.